Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. Quick warning before we begin, as you've read on the title, the first story touches on the topic of bullying, so if that is something that makes you uncomfortable, you might want to skip this story. Now let's get started. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user The Conflicted Bride. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my cousin to my wedding? Hello Reddit, I'm 23 female and I'm getting married this May to my long-term boyfriend 27 male. We've been waiting to get married for about a year since we've been saving up our finances to move out, and now is the perfect time to start the process of getting married. I'm very excited. We have told our immediate families so far and they are all ecstatic for us to support us 100%. However, there is just one problem. I have a cousin, 25 female, who has bullied me my entire life, and I do not want that cousin to be at my wedding. Growing up, she made my life a living hell. She never missed a chance to make fun of me, and she used to physically bully me as well. I remember times she would make up scenarios and would tell me people from school called me ugly, fat, and a floozy just to make me upset and feel insecure about myself. At one point, she even admitted she was jealous of me. These days, I feel like we're only civil because our moms are very close. Her mom is my mom's sister. This peace helps our family stick together, and there have been no major incidents since then. To this day, she still makes snide remarks or backhanded comments to me. I've come to realize that putting up with that toxic behavior is unhealthy, and this is my wedding day. I deserve to be happy. So I decided that I don't want to invite her to something that is supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. She doesn't deserve to be a part of my happiness. I told my mother this and she was upset. She thinks if I invite my aunt's family and exclude that cousin, my aunt will be very upset and it will cause a whole family fight. My mom also said it will trigger her anxieties and make her feel uncomfortable at my own wedding. I told her if my aunt doesn't want to come because my cousin is uninvited, I would have no hard feelings toward her, and I completely understand. This wasn't enough for my mom, and she was still upset at my response. She doesn't think it's worth not inviting my cousin for one day, and that it would cause a lifetime of conflict. My fiance thinks I'm in the right, and he personally doesn't want her at the wedding because of how she treated me in the past. He said it's our day and we can choose who we want at our wedding. I still feel like I might be the a-hole for potentially causing the drama just because of not wanting to invite my cousin. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Well, OP, in my opinion, no, you're not the a-hole and your fiance is absolutely right. It is your and his wedding day and you guys get to choose to invite whomever you want. Cause yeah, I mean, who wants to listen to backhanded comments and snide remarks on your wedding day? Like, no, you don't need that. You just need people there to support you and be happy for you and celebrate with you. Your mom is being the a-hole here. Sure, I understand her position. It sucks because she needs to make a choice that will definitely hurt someone's feelings. And in my opinion, she already did all she could to try to avoid the situation, but no go. You don't want her at your wedding. That's absolutely fine. She needs to choose now. In summary, OP, you're not the a-hole, your mom is acting like one, and she needs to make a choice. And what do you guys think about this situation? What is your judgment, or what would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see their judgments. Cheerily Terrified says, quote, she thinks if I invite my aunt's family and exclude said cousin, my aunt will be very upset and it will cause a whole family fight, end quote. So you can't upset your aunt, but it's okay if you're unhappy and miserable at every family event because your mom wouldn't protect you from your bully? She let you be bullied for years because she doesn't like conflict? She doesn't seem to mind it with you. She can't be anxious at your wedding, but it's okay if you are? Not the a-hole. Your mom definitely is. And OP responds, this is exactly how I feel. I want to be happy on my and my fiance's day. I don't need any fake love or conflict on my day, let alone feeling uncomfortable. I wish my mom could realize that. I don't want my cousin around to any important event in my life. She doesn't deserve it. Capital Literature 9 says, not the a-hole. Here's another way of putting it. Would you actively invite this one person who's been a miserable steaming pile of garbage her whole life and a cloud over your head for many years to one of the most important days of your life? F no, you wouldn't, and you certainly wouldn't feel bad about it either. And if your mom is close to her mom, I'm guessing she knows about her crap of a niece? I'd be a little annoyed if my mother would defend her in any way, shape, or form. They'll know damn well why she's not invited, and if that ruffles some feathers, so be it. F 'em, she's only a cousin, not exactly immediate family or likely someone you would have wanted to go visit regardless. And Opie responds, yes, she and my aunt know everything that happened between me and my cousin growing up. Wild in the Street 57 says, not the a-hole. It's your wedding and you shouldn't have to deal with any drama created by a toxic bully. Your aunt and your mother have zero say on how your invitations will be distributed. Only you and your fiancé have that power. 25 years ago, I had a family scenario very much like yours. I had several extremely toxic family members who were acting up all the time. I cut them all out of my life well before my wedding date and never looked back. It did cause a lot of drama, not gonna lie, but my wedding was mostly drama-free. Congratulations on your upcoming nuptials and may your marriage be blessed with love and happiness. Additional information from Opie's comments. I think my aunt would know why I'm not going to invite my cousin. As I said earlier, she knows her daughter bullied me. She did try punishing her every time my cousin did something growing up, but in general, my cousin didn't care about the consequences my aunt gave her about anything. She was the type of kid growing up that didn't listen to anyone and constantly got in trouble for it. Anyway, my mom knew about the bullying issue too and left my grandma's house when my cousin would start in. The last time we got into an issue was a few years ago, a month after my grandpa passed away. I was on a family trip with a whole extended family, and my cousin made up a story that this random guy called me fat and tried to put the blame on her younger sister and another distant cousin for overhearing it and telling said cousin about it. Word got around and my aunt found out and told the both of us to cut the crap and make up because we're family and need to stick together, even though I didn't do anything wrong. And just to give you all a better picture, here's a quick rundown of what she did to me. As a younger girl, she would hit me, call me ugly, call me a lesbian. Yeah, I don't know why that. Lol. Purposely always left me out while playing with other kids, teased me for random things depending on the situation, wrecked my room one time, ruined my birthday one year. Then, as a teen and to the present, she said that people at school would make fun of me and call me various things, constantly comparing herself to me, saying that people said we looked the same? Huh? She would copy me, somehow got her hands on my Nintendo DSi and deleted all my pictures on there, which were precious memories to me, and kept only 3 photos of herself laying on my bed. Mocked my hair, told my brother I was a floozy, made fun of me because I threw up after riding a carnival ride, said racist and offensive things about me, and at one point she said I wear too much makeup, but now she's so into makeup after years of praising herself to be natural. She did so much more, but these things really stuck out to me. It's not the fact that I'm worried that she will do something at my wedding. It's the fact that she would try to get some attention on herself, and I don't have the time or energy for that. Plus, I don't want someone at my wedding or any important event of mine if they have been nasty to me my whole life. I love my aunt, but I do not care for her daughter. I hope she understands that everything her daughter did to me growing up was what led to this action. Alright, well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, and I'm gonna make an addendum to my original commentary. I was too light on the mom, but after that additional context that OP gave us, no, the mom is most definitely an a-hole. She would leave the house when her daughter would start to get bullied by her cousin? Yeah, she sucks. Anyways, OP has given us an update, so let's move on with that to see how this story ends, but before that, here's another one of my playlists for you to enjoy after this video. Now let's continue with the update. Hello again, Reddit. I just want to come back on here to give you guys an update. First and foremost, before I go to the update, I just want to thank you all for your helpful advice. It really helped me and my fiance get a clearer perspective on what to do. Now for the update. My fiance and I decided to just have a basic elopement. No celebration, no after dinner, nothing. We might go on a honeymoon afterward. We aren't sure where to go, but I'm sure it'll be fun with no drama. We also decided to postpone the date for our elopement to a later date. As for the conversation with my mother, a couple of days after I posted the original Reddit post, I talked to my mother. I told her I am not having my cousin at my wedding. I don't care that she will be upset. It's my day and I say who goes and who doesn't. After I told her, she just sat there in silence. When I mentioned everything my cousin did to me in the past and told her that she did nothing about it, she got defensive. She said she tried everything that she could, but I really don't believe that. A couple of days ago, I went on a hike with my father. My parents are divorced, and I told him about the situation briefly. He decided to give me the full rundown about my mother's family, which was a very long conversation. He did not hold back. To no surprise, my mother said that throughout the marriage with my mother, she always chose her siblings and mother over my father and her children. There were no boundaries on my mother's side. Everyone was in everyone's business. He told me about the bullying I received from my cousin from his perspective. To be more specific, it started when I was 1 year old. My cousin at the time was 3. How did he find out? When my parents were still living with my grandma, mom's mom, my cousin asked my dad to allow her to go upstairs with me in my bedroom alone. My dad didn't know about anything at this point, so he allowed it. My mother then started getting hysterical and my grandmother told my father that it wouldn't be a good idea for that to happen. He then asked why, she's only 3 years old. My grandmother told them that my cousin would hit me and be violent towards me. They said it was going on for months. The reason they did not tell my father was that I wouldn't remember it and that they were just kids. My father was furious and tried to do everything in his power to protect me and my younger brother. Since my brother was a newborn at this time, my father did not know if they would go to him next. Throughout the years, my brother didn't receive as much bullying as I did. The lack of discipline that my aunt's kids received when I was a kid made it easier for my cousin to be nasty to me. My aunt didn't do anything from what I heard, and my mother didn't do anything. My cousin also told my father that she hated me and she hated my existence when she was 5. My father's theory on why my cousin was so hateful towards me was because she was the first and only granddaughter for a while, since my 2 older cousins are 20 years older than us, since my other aunt, not my cousin's mom, had them as a teenager. Right after my cousin was born, her brother was born, and then it was me. My aunt and my mother tried to make us look like twins. Same outfits, same everything. My cousin did not like that because she wanted all the attention to herself, which caused her to start bullying me at a very young age. Any chance my mom would get, she would bring me and my brother to her side of the family. It didn't matter where we were at. I never really got to know my father's side of the family that well from that. The part that hurt me the most was not really knowing my dad's mom. My mother would always limit contact with her on purpose because my mom didn't like that other influences in my life weren't her family. It hurt so much because all the times I remember my grandma, she was always teaching me how to fight and defend myself against my cousin. She told me to always hold my ground. I knew she loved me with all her heart and I loved her too. I wish I had a better relationship with her. There were other things that my father mentioned about the family which I'm not going to go too deep into because it's irrelevant. The main message I got from all of this is to not break my boundaries and to stay away from her and the rest of my mother's family because they will turn on me. He told me it's not worth fighting my mother about these things because she is delusional and she will always take the side of her siblings instead of her children. In my father's words, she essentially made me and my brother sacrificial lambs for the sake of the relationship with her family instead of protecting her children. My mom is really something else. There's no point in arguing with her at this point because she believes in her head that she did everything she could, but in reality, she didn't. She tried to keep the peace with her family and she failed me. Everything my dad told me was definitely an eye-opener. So much stuff that I didn't even know about came to light. My mother's side of the family is like a cult. I always thought it was normal for them to be in each other's business and make people forgive each other in the circle for the sake of family, until I realized it wasn't. I think the reason why I stayed in the circle for so long is that my mom conditioned me to. My dad said I had bad social skills growing up because she did not let me hang out with my friends for the most part and brought me around my cousins instead. This included my bully cousin, and thinks my mom's family had it out for him because he didn't like what was going on, so they always painted him as a bad guy. He also said that my aunt and her husband, bully cousin's parents, were always pushing my mom to divorce my dad throughout most of their marriage. I'm going to keep my distance from my family and keep working hard to save money so I can move out of my mother's house. I understand now that I cannot be around my mother's side of the family at all. It would be a very unhealthy environment for my future children and husband. I don't want to make the same mistakes my mother made. I want to be the best role model my family could have. I look at it as a fresh start. I can have the peace I want without the interference from my mom and her family in my business. My fiance and I are eventually planning to move out of state in 2 years so our children can grow up in an environment that's not around my family. For right now, we're stuck in the state and we're looking for an apartment to rent out temporarily, but it's better than being stuck in a toxic environment. So that's it with the update. I just wanted to thank you guys again for giving me the best advice to follow and keeping up with my story. Thank you. P.S. I think we're going to go to the Caribbean. I always wanted to go to Santa Lucia. Smiley face. Alright OP, good for you, toxic family out, and now you focus on making your own with your fiance in the future. Sounds like you guys are making really good choices. You've got everything properly planned out and thought out, so that's good, and you guys know what you want for your family. So here's wishing you both the very best in the future OP, take care, and thank you so much for sharing. Now let's finish this video with a quick mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user abbreviations soft934. Make sure his store is the first one you deliver. Consider it done. After I left active duty service serving on board a ship, all I wanted to do is drive. So in 1999, I got a driving job delivering meat in Southern California. It was a tough job dealing with traffic and my schedule was always tight with 16 to 20 deliveries each day to local markets. I was mostly given inner city routes with markets with limited space for mid-sized delivery trucks. One of my weekly stops was a small market owned and run by an Iraqi immigrant. I will call him Ali. Ali was always scheduled to be my 5th or 6th stop and would always complain to me about why I would show up that late, after 9 each time. He said he wanted to be the first one of the day. I told him I knew he opened each weekday after 8 AM and that I start my route at about 6:15 AM. Plus, I don't schedule my route. If he wanted to make sure he was the first delivery of the day, he would have to call Steve, our delivery route supervisor. Ali called Steve because the next week I received special instructions that read, "Make sure Ali's market is your first delivery of the day." I had my normal amount of stops that day, about 18, and I knew they all will be pushed back at least 2 hours because I knew Ali wouldn't open until 8 AM and will not open the rear door until an hour later. The rear door was for deliveries and trash bin access. I began driving at my usual time. I arrived at Ali's market 15 minutes later. Ali's market was closed and I had my orders. I will make sure Ali's market is the first one of the day. I park and wait. 8 AM came and Ali shows up. He drives his old Benz around the back of my truck and parked and walks inside through the back door. I wait for him to open the front and he ignores me. He was busy pretending to supervise the cashier, intentionally ignoring me. So I walk to the meat counter at the back. The guy tells me he was not allowed to take deliveries, that I had to wait for Mr. Ali. At this point, I could have gone to make 2 or 3 deliveries and then return, but I had my very specific order. As I was walking towards the front to exit the market, I grabbed a newspaper, paid for it, and then told Ali, who was just standing there looking at me, "Let me know when you're ready to take your order. You know where I parked." Ali didn't say a word. He was apparently taking revenge for all these years for his small city market not being the #1 priority of a meat distributor who delivered beef, pork, chicken, cheese, and other refrigerated products from over 12 distribution points throughout the United States. So, when Steve arrived at his desk right after 10 AM, the first thing he saw on his computer screen was an alert of my truck sitting inert for 4 hours. He called me all in a rage, demanding I explain to him why my truck was sitting for all that time. I explained that I was following his order to make sure I delivered to Ali's market first. Steve hung up and called Ali. Whatever Steve told Ali made Ali get his whiny butt out of his crappy little market and take the delivery of his meat order. About 14 boxes of product if I recall correctly. I then began to rush through the rest of my stops, not wasting time at all, and at the end of my day, I was the last driver back in the warehouse. I got an extra $80 on overtime because Ali cried for not being the first delivery of the day. I never returned to see Ali again. Apparently, we dropped his whiny butt as a customer. Well, he wanted to be first, your boss made him first, and he was first. I guess the silver lining for Ali is that at least he got to be first one time? Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.